Welcome to the last lecture of the Introduction to Economics course of 2020 spring semester. So this way we are going to end the video lecture of this unusual semester, and we'll see what will in the next semester. Next semester, maybe I might need to well record these videos once again. We'll see. Um, well, the topic of the last lecture is aggregate demand, aggregate supply, and government intervention, which was kind of in last semester. I have connected. I have bring together two topics. Since one of them, aggregate demand and aggregate supply, and both also government intervention were too short. So as a result, you have this relatively long presentation, 110 slides. Although a significant portion of it is kind of I show for the same graph different positions again and again and again and again. So basically, there are 5 or 6 slides which show you different positions of the of curves on the same graph, but basically I can cover all of them in a minute or so. I mean, those 5, 6 um, slides, and there are many of them in this lecture. So basically, we will see the model where basically the demand and supply portions of the economic system are brought together, and kind of it's a model which kind of tells the story of the economic system for the, let's say, medium run. Let's say, I mean, at the time frame in which the growth doesn't happen or is negligible. So we have a fixed potential output, um, and however the output can reach to um, maximum possible point basically, um, and prices can vary also when you increase the demand. So in that sense, it is different from the equilibrium point of the goods market model we have seen. And in this model, we will have actually two different equilibriums, short run and medium run equilibriums also. Well, let's start. And then we will see after we see the model itself, basically how government might intervene to the economy using this model. We will study that possibility. And then we will also talk a little bit on the additional concerns on government intervention, which are not seen in this model. Set again by mostly mainstream economists, by the way, not by the more radical economists. Although maybe if it comes to if it becomes relevant, I might mention a few of those also. But my focus will be certainly mainstream critiques, not non-mainstream critics. First video is actually a nice video, which is showing you kind of Japan's debt problem. Japan is a country which has experienced stagnation. I mean, fixed GDP level for many, many years, and so it wants to stimulate its economy. Which, well, usually stimulations are for the short run, basically, but Japan tries to use the same stimulations also to increase the investment levels and basically increase the growth rates also for a long time. And in order to do that, it takes more and more and more depth. You can look to the Japanese debt level, although you can look to the debt level of other countries. I mean, they are also not that low, but Japan's debt is especially high. And however, when the government accumulates too much debt, that creates its own problems. We will talk very little on those potential problems, of course, but this video is a little bit more detailed, and it's also a nice video on the debt problem. That's more on this debt problem, basically. And it's also a nice video, as I said. It tells a it simplifies the concepts a lot. So I would suggest yeah. Anyway, in the background information, I will talk on two things. First, I will talk on the models um, in macroeconomics, and then I will talk on the government intervention and the idea of, I mean, the view of self-regulating economic system. Um, well, we should note that the models, well, Smith and Marx, actually, they use algebraic models, not Smith, but Marx used algebraic models with some variables. And after Smith, actually, David Ricardo also used some mathematical models. But neither of them use the graphical model. So graphical models, which we have seen mostly in this course with graphs of demand and supply, things like that, brought mostly by, well, the several mainstream economists in late 19th century. The most important one is Marshall. We have already seen the name. And well, the algebraic models have also developed at that era, but especially, I mean, math and I mean the idea to represent the economic conditions graphically, which is maybe more visible than algebraic models. Algebraic models are not that much, that they don't make it that much possible to visualize the economic processes. So graphics actually helped maybe make the economic relations or economic subjects simpler to understand or simpler to tap. Of course, nowadays you might ask whether it is really so because mathematical models of economics is very complex, and even maybe some people say, well, unless you know very complex math, you don't understand economics. But the main thing of math is note that is actually make those concepts simpler to tell. So if the math is a tool, math is not something that can by itself prove anything except internal consistency maybe. It is just a tool to express yourself in a more efficient, more clear way, basically. So just the fact you use math doesn't also make you theories more scientific also. Maybe more understandable, but not scientific. Or more clear, maybe, I mean. But more clear, while verbal theories might be not that clear. Not the people might understand different things from the verbal theories in some cases, where verbal hypothesis. But again, not that doesn't make by itself your models more scientific or your theory more scientific. Anyway, well, Keynes kind of take the Marshall's methodology and apply it, but still using the words to the macroeconomics. Later, by Hicks, Keynesian theories had become mathematical, and especially graphics had been added to it. But in Keynes, at least in words, you can see those I mean, the basic tools that later become retold with math. And well, usually the macroeconomics that were well, the first macroeconomic models, mathematical models, are actually all of them actually the major ones, of course, actually, were created after Keynes actually. Although Keynes might have given the inspiration to those models. And two of them you have already seen. These are very famous. I mean, there are four very famous models of macroeconomics. One of them is Phillips. The other one is the Solow's growth model, which basically tells if you want to increase the growth, I mean the investments basically, create a smaller and smaller growth as basically a country becomes more developed, the income per capita is higher, assuming technology level is equally diffused among the countries. That's what the growth model tells. And one thing we can take from the model is the countries tend to get more and more equal. I mean, their development levels get closer to each other as time passes, basically according to Solov model. And basically, also the investments might easily flow to the countries which are developing. I mean, not that much developed because the returns in those countries will be higher. According to what Solov model tells us, again, in the case that the infrastructure in this country, I mean, private property rights, things like private property rights, the legal infrastructure, maybe also some physical infrastructure is suitable for investments. Plus technology level can diffuse those countries. Phillips curve, as we have seen, is the other model, the second model. As I said, it was created by the Phillips as an empirical paper and wrote at the end. I mean, I think there should be more research done on my paper. And it is one of the topics on which most research is done. In Turkey, we say he should want something else, since his wish would come true anyway. The third model is ISLM model. It's an important model. In some textbooks, this might be seen instead of I mean, you might see this model instead of the ADAS model. Although in the book, which is kind of the standard book for the introduction to economics in both of the campuses, ADAS model is used as the main model. I stick with that. Well, it is kind of ignoring the supply side, assuming the prices are fixed and still supply can handle additional demand. So supply constraint is capacity problem. The fact that you might reach the capacity, your maximum capacity, is not that severe. However, even if that's the case, even if you are not reaching the capacity, ISLM model is showing that within the dynamics of demand itself, there can be some constraints when basically the demand level and output level increases. Well, the model has two different relations. One is investment savings relations, which is basically considering, well, what happens to the investment levels when the basically interest rate increases. And well, on the y-axis you have interest rate, and on the x-axis you have the output level. When interest rates fall, this will increase the investment level. Through multiplier, it will increase the consumption, and output will increase. So ISLM relation shows that decreasing interest rate will increase the output level. While LM relations is called liquidity money relation. As the output level increases, this will, of course, increase the demand for money. As a result, if the money supply is fixed, this will increase the interest rate. So basically, increasing the output level will increase the interest rate, which will decrease the investment level, and which will put a brake on the increase in the output in this case. So basically, while in the goods market you have a mechanism which, by decreasing interest rate, might increase the output level, the financial markets might basically put a brake on increase in the output level through increasing the interest rate. We will talk more on this model in the next part, and then we will go to the ADAS model, basically. See you in the next part. We will study ADAS model.